Hi, it's Kayla, and in this video, I'm going to be giving you a complete guide to planning a Disney trip as a blind or visually impaired person. I'm going to be giving you all of my tips, tricks, and advice, which I'm really excited about because I love Disney. I'm going to preface this video by saying I am by no means a Disney expert. However, I have been to the Disney parks a bunch of times. It's something that I am very passionate about. I love researching, learning, keeping up with the going-ons of Disney, so I have quite a lot of knowledge on the subject. And I also have been to Disney a bunch of times as a visually impaired / blind person. I've been quite a few times throughout my life as I've slid down that spectrum of visually impaired to more blind, a lot less vision. So I can kind of speak a little bit to both sides of being visually impaired at Disney and being more closely to just plain old blind at Disney. Also, this video is going to be focusing on just the Disney parks, so I'm not going to be going into planning hotels and transportation and all of that stuff, just the main attraction, which are the theme parks. I'm also not going to be talking about any of the Disney parks outside of the US because I have not been to them. So I will be just talking about Disney World in Florida, which I've been to a bunch of times, and Disneyland in California, which I've been to a few times. And pretty much everything I talk about in this video applies to both Disney World and Disneyland. I'm going to split this video up into sections, so I will be putting timestamps in case there are topics that are more relevant to you than others, so you can skip ahead. But what I'm going to be covering is 1, is it worth it to go to Disney if you are blind or visually impaired? 2, planning your Disney trip. 3, accessibility. And 4, specific attractions that are good if you're blind or visually impaired. Okay, so then let's jump in. The first topic. Is it worth it to go to Disney, or should you go to Disney if you are blind or visually impaired? I think 1000% yes, obviously because I love Disney, so I don't know that that's even like a real question for me. But I do definitely think it's worth it if you like Disney or theme parks, or if you think you may like it a little bit. If you don't like theme parks and you don't like anything to do with Disney, then maybe it's not for you. But if you think that you would maybe enjoy it if you could see, then you can enjoy it if you can't see. There's so much to do at Disney. Like, there is something for everyone, and there are tons of stuff that engages all 5 of your senses. I think the biggest thing is just like the atmosphere is magical. I love being there. Just setting foot on Disney property just has a different feeling to it. So if you have limited vision, there's still tons of things to see. And even, if you have more limited vision or no vision, there are still ways to enjoy all of the things that there are to see through audio description, which I will talk about in the accessibility section, or getting someone to describe to you all of the sites that are around you. You can still really enjoy all of the sites by just being able to picture them. So if you can't see, that sense is not totally lost on you. There are plenty of sounds to enjoy. Like, some of my favorite parts are just the background music that plays in the parks. Also, the rides have music and dialogue that tell a story. You have live music a lot. You've got the Dapper Dans, which is a barber, what do you call? Barbershop quartet. You've got the Main Street marching band. There's music all over the place. There are live shows that have live singing and acting. Lots and lots of sounds to enjoy. There are also lots of things you can feel, like, for one, the motion of the rides, roller coasters. Hello, you don't need vision to be able to enjoy the movement of those things, but also being able to just feel things. Like, I touch everything if it's safe, given illness and things like that. But if it feels safe for you, I touch everything, like the show buildings, the ride vehicles, the just stuff. Anything and everything that I can touch, I do. There are so many things to see with your hand eyes. There's also lots of shopping, tons of shopping where you can go in and touch all the stuff. I love to explore all the stuff in the gift shops. That's a really fun part of the trip. And then you've also got your sense of smell and taste. There are so many good smells all over the place, and the food. So much good food. Good food everywhere. Super yummy and unique snacks. If you think it's just like theme park food, like chicken tenders and hamburgers, that is incorrect. Disney has really stepped up their food game more than most other theme parks. And you can find just tons of really great food. I would recommend looking at Disney Food Blog. They have a website and a YouTube channel where they just talk about all the great food at Disney. There's so much to enjoy. So if you're a foodie, or if you just, love you some snacks, they're all over the place. So yeah, I absolutely think it's enjoyable, even for someone who is blind or visually impaired. Obviously, seeing as I am, and I continue to go all the time and love it. They don't call it the happiest place on earth / the most magical place on earth for nothing. Now let's talk a little bit about planning your trip. So my biggest recommendation for planning your trip to the Disney parks is to go on their official website, and you can look at all of the attractions, so all of the rides, shows, characters you can meet, places that you can eat, everything that's there. You can read about them. They'll have like a little description about it. And some pictures, if that's something that you are able to see. And so it just really gives you an idea of what there is, what they have to offer, and what you would like to do. So I personally like to make a chart of the things that I want to do, where I'll have like the name of the attraction, where in the park it's located. I'll rank it on a scale of 1 to 5 for like how badly I want to do that. I'll put if it's like an indoor or an outdoor attraction. So I know like in case of like weather, if it's really hot and you need a break, or if it's raining, usually the indoor ones don't shut down. I have a column for, let's see, if it's like a slow ride or a thrill ride. I have a column for if it does or does not have audio description. So that's what I like to do. I also look up like the shows and the parades and stuff that I want to see, and have like a timetable of what times those are, so I make sure that I don't miss anything. I know that that's maybe a little extra for your average person. I enjoy very much planning a Disney trip. I also enjoy making charts. That's not for everyone. So for you, I would recommend at least making a list of the things that you really want to do, and kind of have your priorities, so you can have just a little bit of a game plan when you get there. Because you don't want to waste time when you're there being like, oh, what should we do next? What even is this ride? Where is this? All that. I like to be efficient with my trips. Now, another tip is, like I said, if you go on the Disney website, you can read like brief descriptions of the attractions. If you look up those attractions on Wikipedia, you can get a very detailed description of the attraction. So I really like doing this because it really just paints the whole visual for you. So it's kind of like the difference between reading a book and watching a movie. Obviously reading a book for blind people is going to be better because it describes all the visuals. So if you go on the Wikipedia page, it will describe like the show building and the queue and each of the ride scenes and like the storyline and all of that. It's very detailed, which is really awesome. So I enjoy doing that. It will spoil the ride for you. You'll know what happens throughout the ride. So if that's something that you don't want to do, then probably don't do that. The descriptions on the Disney website are spoiler free, but if you don't mind to have the spoiler because you like to have the detailed description, I highly recommend that, because it's just a lot better of an experience when you can ride the ride and really be able to picture everything that's going on around you. You can also look up videos on YouTube of ride-throughs of the ride in case you want to just take a look at it, see if it looks like something that you would be able to see or something that you want to ride. I just enjoy watching those for fun, but it could be some good research to do before your trip as well. I also think some like Disney vacation planning blogs can be really helpful. So two that I like are Disney Tourist blog or Undercover Tourist, and they have tons of tips of like when is the best time to go and information about weather and crowds and seasonal offerings and like how to plan your day and sample itineraries and hotels and transportation, all that stuff that like I'm not covering in this video, or that's more like general planning, that's not blind specific. I think those are really good resources and have helped me a lot with planning my trips. Okay, so now on to accessibility. So I think Disney is really great with accessibility, which is awesome. So I think like the main star of accessibility for us blind and visually impaired folk is the audio description device. So this is kind of makes me think of like a walkie-talkie or a radio that is on a lanyard, so you can wear it around your neck. You plug in headphones, and it describes not only the attractions, but also your surroundings. So what it does is like pings these beacons. I don't know if that's the right technical terminology, but it knows where you are. So say you enter Fantasyland, it'll say, bling, Fantasyland. And then you can hear a description of Fantasyland, so what it looks like, the kinds of buildings, all of that, visual description, which is really cool. And then we'll also tell you what's around you, like what attractions are there, what restaurants are nearby, what bathrooms are nearby, all of that. So it's almost like a little interactive map in a sense. And it also provides description on the rides. Not all of them have it, but most of the slow rides do have audio description. So again, when you're going through the ride and you go into like a new scene, it'll like ping that beacon and it'll start describing what's in that scene. And so it's like synced up with the ride, which is so awesome to be able to get that verbal description as you're going through the ride. It just really makes them come to life, which is, it's a really great device. I'm so glad Disney does that. You can also, with this device, kind of go through this menu, which is like all audible. You don't need sighted assistance to use this, but you can go through the list of attractions nearby and listen to a pre-show description. And so you don't have to be near the ride. It doesn't have to like pick up the beacon. You can just listen to it. But it describes the beginning of the ride. So like what the show building looks like, what the queue looks like, what the ride vehicles look like, just all the stuff of like the beginning part of the ride, which is really cool because it's Disney. They're very detailed. So even just like before you even get on the ride, there are still tons of stuff to see and tons of story to be told. So I really enjoyed listening to those. I would also recommend with the audio description device to bring your own headphones. They will give you a pair of just like standard over the ear headphones, or I guess on the ear. But I like to bring my earbuds so I can have one earbud in and the other out, so I can still hear like the ride or my surroundings. You know, you probably don't want to like plug up both of your ears, especially if you can't see. And to get the audio description device, you just go to guest services, so like whatever that building is in the park, so like City Hall or whatever they call it. And then you do pay $25 to check it out, but when you return it, they refund it. So essentially it's free, but you do have to pay a fee to be able to check it out. And there's usually, well, I don't know if usually, there can be a pretty lengthy line for guest services, so do be aware of that. And yes, there can be a pretty long line in the morning when you pick it up and at night when you go to return it. And you better hope it doesn't die in the middle of the day so you don't have to wait in line again to exchange it. So to find out if an attraction does have audio description, you can look up a list of attractions on the Disney website, or if you are looking like attraction by attraction, if you pull up that attraction page and click on the accessibility menu, it will tell you if it has audio description. And like I said, I like to put that on like my chart or make a little list of the ones that do have description, just so you know which rides you want to bring your device on. So the next thing I want to talk about is the official Disney Parks app. It's a different app for World and Land and I don't remember the name of them, but I'm sure you could do a very quick Google and find it. This app has all kinds of information. It's got like all the rides and wait times and maps and all that kind of stuff. But the thing I want to mention about it is on the app, you can look and see where the accessible restrooms are. So if you're like me and you have a really hard time navigating public bathrooms, especially if they're crowded, which they are at Disney, this is a lifesaver to find where the accessible bathrooms are. There's a lot of them, which is really great. And that just makes my life so much easier. Pro tip, my favorite accessible bathroom is in the Beauty and the Beast area in Magic Kingdom. So another offering they have is Braille and tactile maps. I have never used these before, so I can't really speak to them, but just wanted to let you know that they are available. Another thing that I think is really helpful is a few of the rides are on what they call an omni-mover system. So it's essentially like a conveyor belt, or I think they call them like a moving sidewalk. So you step on this moving sidewalk and you're moving while alongside you the ride vehicles are still moving and you're supposed to like climb into them, which can be difficult if you can't see or if you like move a little bit slower or use cane. So a lot of times if the cast members at the ride see me with my cane, they will offer to slow it down or stop it for me. But if you don't use a cane or they don't notice you, you can always ask them to either stop it or slow it down, which makes it a lot easier to be able to take your time maneuvering around these tricky systems to get in the ride vehicle. Now, the last thing that I will mention about accessibility is seating for shows. So if there is a show that has actual seating, so like benches, chairs, seats of some kind, so not just like general standing room. So for example, Fantasmic at Hollywood Studios, the Beauty and the Beast live at Hollywood Studios, Frozen live at the Hyperion at DCA, Candlelight Processional at Epcot, things like that, you can usually get a really close seat. So I have had really good luck just finding the cast member at that attraction, telling them that I'm visually impaired and that I would like to be able to sit close so that I can see. And I'm pretty sure every time I've asked, they've been able to accommodate me and put me right in the front, which is just really awesome to be able to utilize as much vision as I have. The closer I am, the more that I can see and the more that I can enjoy the show. So I think that's really awesome. Like I said, I've had good luck with that. It's not always an exact science because sometimes it does depend on the cast member, maybe the show, I'm not sure. But I've had luck with all of those that I just mentioned. You probably want to get there early because if it fills up, they're not going to ask people to move out of your way. So you need to make sure you're early enough to where the seats that they would have would still be empty, so that they can see you there. Now, if it's a show that doesn't have actual seating, so for example, like any of the castle stage shows at Magic Kingdom where it's just like a big open area for standing room, or like parades or fireworks, anything that's just like standing, they can't help you. There's nothing that you can do. You're just going to have to get there super early. Depending on what it is going to depend on how early you have to get there. People camp out for fireworks and parades like way far in advance. So keep that in mind. I say that it's never worked. I've never had luck with that. You could always ask. I'm sure it never hurts to ask. Okay, so now let's talk about attractions. So I'm not going to really be talking about like what attractions are just generally good or like my recommendations. I'm going to be talking specifically about attractions through a blind and visually impaired lens. So starting with rides, anything that is considered to be a thrill ride, aka like a roller coaster, is going to be good if you're blind because yes, it's Disney, so they are very detail oriented. All the rides are very story driven, even if it is just a roller coaster. So yes, there is still stuff to look at and there's still a story, but you can very much enjoy roller coasters if you can't see. You don't really need to see to get the thrill. So that's going to be like your Space Mountain, Thunder Mountain, Tower of Terror, Rock and Roller Coaster, that kind of stuff. Well, I guess Tower of Terror isn't technically a roller coaster, but plenty of thrill. Love that ride. Slinky Dog Dash is also a good one. That's not too crazy. So yeah, definitely can enjoy all of those if you can't see. And so if you're looking at attractions on the Disney website, they have them all tagged. So they will say thrill ride, slow ride, dark ride, water ride. They have these different like tags, which is good to help you know what's what if you haven't been on those attractions before. Now, the ones that are tagged dark ride are dark rides. They're physically dark. So those are going to be ones that are a little bit more difficult for you to see. So some of these are like Haunted Mansion, Pirates of the Caribbean, Peter Pan. Those rides are pretty dark and they are pretty difficult to see. However, if you love Peter Pan, go on Peter Pan. Like, you don't have to be able to see to enjoy the rides. There's still plenty to enjoy. There's still a story. A lot of them still have music, or maybe you could see a little something. Also, all those 3 dark rides that I just mentioned all have audio description, as do a few other of the dark rides. So I'm definitely not saying don't go on them. I'm just saying maybe don't expect to be able to see very much. If you don't have any vision, doesn't matter. Also, I would recommend Haunted Mansion because just the atmosphere, it's very spooky. And I think it could be a very enjoyable ride, even if you can't see. Also, has the audio description. Some of my recommendations for the slow rides that are a little bit more visually impaired friendly because they are very bright. Number 1 is The Little Mermaid. Maybe I'm a little biased because that is my personal favorite because I love The Little Mermaid and I love that ride, but it is very bright. And there's also super fun music to enjoy. The Winnie the Pooh ride is also pretty bright. It's brighter in California for whatever reason. That one's a little bit easier to see. It's a Small World is very bright. It's a Small World Holiday in California, if you happen to be there around the holiday season, is the most magical ride I've ever ridden. It's so bright and lit up. I just love it very much. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. Highly recommend. I also recommend Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which is new. It is pretty bright. I think Frozen Ever After at Epcot has pretty good visibility. Also another one of my favorites, but I'm a huge Frozen fan. And then the Monsters Inc. ride at DCA is also pretty bright. So that is definitely not an exhaustive list of all of the visually impaired friendly rides or ones that are bright. Just off the top of my head, those are some ones that I remember being able to see better than others and rides that I really enjoy. And I also have to give an honorable mention to the Jungle Cruise to be a really good blind and visually impaired friendly ride, because the best part of the ride is your skipper on the boat telling a bunch of jokes the whole time. It's like a little mini comedy show, which you don't need eyes to be able to enjoy. So outside of rides, shows are another great attraction to enjoy. So some of my favorites, Frozen Live at the Hyperion at DCA is phenomenal. I loved it. It's practically like a Broadway show. It was very good. It's all live, so I really enjoy like live singing. That's a treat for the ears, even if you can't see. Also, Beauty and the Beast at live at Hollywood Studios is really good too. There's so many, I can't name them all, but the ones that are like live shows where people are actually acting and singing are probably going to be the most blind friendly ones. But they're all good. If you can enjoy the story, or if you like the music, like I recommend them all. I love them all. But also it's personal preference. Like, do you like shows? Do you like plays? Do you like singing? Because if not, maybe that's not for you. But if you do, definitely recommend like all of them. And then you've got parades. Those are fun too. I think the daytime parades are a lot easier than the nighttime parades. If you're like me and you have pretty severe night blindness, those parades are just tough. Like, I can barely see anything, unless it is the Paint the Night parade. If that comes back, that is the brightest parade I've ever seen. Really wish that one would come back. But any other nighttime parades are going to be pretty hard. That doesn't mean that they're not worth seeing. I still like them. I like to, for my husband to describe them to me. If you have someone that you're with that can do some describing, and it's a parade that you want to see, definitely go for it. But the daytime parades are probably going to be easier for you. And then you've got the nighttime spectaculars, aka the fireworks show. So this is going to be different for everyone depending on your level of vision. If you don't have any vision at all, these probably won't be the best for you. There's really just music. If you want to listen to the music, sure, go for it. But other than that, unless you have someone with you that can do some really good describing, and if you enjoy that kind of thing, they're probably not going to be the best. If you do have some vision, I personally really like fireworks. I can still see them. So I like the fireworks. The fireworks shows at Magic Kingdom is some fireworks, but a lot of it is projections on the castle, which I can't see at all. My husband does some really great describing, so that makes it super enjoyable, like Happily Ever After. R.I.P. was a really great fireworks and projection show that I was able to really enjoy through my husband's description. These shows do not have audio description that I know of, unless that has changed since I've been there. I think with the exception of, I believe, Fantasmic and World of Color do have audio description. But anyways, the projections are difficult to see. So if you like just the fireworks, then you would probably enjoy that. If you're not really a big fan of fireworks, then maybe that's like not the best for you either. So that would be like the fireworks show at Magic Kingdom. Fantasmic is very difficult to see. Extremely difficult. Like, I can't really see anything. It's even difficult for sighted people to see. Like, my husband had a hard time describing it. Yes, I mentioned that it does have audio description. I didn't feel like waiting in line for it that day, so I didn't watch Fantasmic with the audio description. But even my husband had a hard time seeing it and being able to describe it. And then there's a new nighttime show at Epcot, Harmonious, which I am dying to see. I haven't seen yet, so can't speak on like how blind friendly it is, but the music is amazing. I would totally think I could enjoy it with my eyes closed. So the last thing I want to mention here, which is not necessarily an attraction, but something to do, is meeting the characters. So if you meet a face character, which is like a person that has like an actual talking face, that can be a really blind friendly activity to be able to meet them, talk to them, interact with them. My personal favorites that I've met were Rapunzel and Tiana. They just have a lot of personality, more than some of the other princesses, but it was super fun to meet them and just be able to interact. Meeting a non-face character, so like an animal, like your Mickey and your Minnie, stuff like that, is not going to be super blind friendly. Obviously, they can't talk, so they communicate with you with a lot of like gesturing. It's kind of like a charades almost. But don't let it stop you. Like, if you really want that picture with Mickey Mouse, definitely do that. You can have the person that you're with, or they have like a little assistant or photo person that could describe or like translate for you. But it can be a little bit awkward to meet those characters if you can't see. Okay, so that is all of my information. I also have like 2 random tips that didn't fit in my other sections, which are to take videos. Like, if you have trouble seeing pictures like I do, I love taking videos when I'm there. I have like a bunch of Disney vlogs. I will link my Disney vlog playlist in case you want to watch those. But I really like doing that to really like capture the sounds around me, or to like talk and kind of narrate or describe what I'm doing, what's going on. I think those are really great ways to try and preserve those memories. And I also recommend buying souvenirs, because those can be really great ways to preserve memories too. Also, if you can't see photos, so you can think like, oh, remember when we bought this pair of ears right after we got off of this ride on this day? I like doing that. My favorite souvenirs to buy, I get an ornament every time, and I also love to buy the different kinds of ears too. So those are two other kind of recommendations. Like I said, if you can still see pictures, jealous, take all the pictures. And you know, I've taken pictures before. Like I did a collage of pictures of me with all the Disney princesses. Couldn't really see it, but I enjoyed picturing it. So, you know, pictures still, I guess, can count for something. But I think videos are really the way to go. So yeah, those are all of my tips about planning a trip to the Disney parks if you're blind or visually impaired. I hope you enjoyed this video, found it informational. If you have any questions at all about this topic, feel free to leave those in the comments. I would be happy to answer them. I could seriously talk about Disney all day long, but I will not, because this video is probably already very long. So leave me anything in the comments that you have, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I already said that. Okay, see you next time. Bye.